Jafar Panahi delivers another remarkable slice of life in Iran while making it undercover because he is banned from making films within the authoritarian state. The film starts with this car journey with a mother, father, and child experiencing joy until they hit a dog. The father says the dog's death is an act of God, while the child dismisses that and says it was just an accident. This not only gives the title of the film, but also the philosophical framework for its narrative. As the family gets the car fixed, Vahid, the mechanic, recognizes the sound of the father and associates him as the prison guard that tortured him while he was sentenced after protesting and striking for not being paid. Vahid kidnaps him, but part of him is not sure whether he is actually the prison guard because he was blindfolded the entire time. He takes the guard and visits a number of other people who had been in prison to see whether it is the right person. And the film explores a range of concepts from the role of the individual in authoritarian states and legitimizing them to should you seek revenge. It was just an accident, won the Palme d'Or this year at the Cannes Film Festival, and has been selected as France's official submission for the 98th Academy Award for Best International Feature Film. This is because he has sought refuge in France at the moment, making it eligible for the country. So let's dig a little deeper about this award-winning film. If you're new to my channel, my name is Paul, and I review the best of world cinema, and I follow the race for Best International Feature Film from countries selecting their submission to the final winner. The most amazing thing about this film is the way it was shot. He was under house arrest, he's been in prison, he's banned from making films, yet he continues to do so, avoiding the authorities. He goes and shoots within cars so they can't see him on the street. He goes to discreet locations, such as the desert, to create these amazing landscapes. But all of this is part of his resistance to the authorities to continue making films in Iran and then taking them to the West to shine the spotlight of what is happening. This has implications for the cinematography. It almost feels claustrophobic at times because of the conditions he's shooting in, but also utilizing the huge landscapes and the vastness of uninhabited land. And that, again, is because he needs these discrete places. The opening 15 minutes feels extremely disorientating because he doesn't set out the narrative or the context. You just have to go with it, and the context and the narrative builds, and you finally understand what's going on. So if you're approaching this film, just let it play, and you will get there very easily. And then the narrative is really quite simple. But despite all the constraints, there is one shot I particularly find remarkable, and is perhaps one of my favourite scenes I've seen this year. And that is very much towards the end, when they have tied up the guards by a tree. And the way they've done it provides so much context, anger, and it goes on for about 10 minutes. And it feels really intense, and it really delivers this remarkable scene. Again, simple shots using fixed camera and the light from the car, and it's done remarkably. And of course, none of this is possible without the remarkable brave cast who put their lives at risk by being in one of his films. This ensemble cast are brilliant because they show the diversity of Iranian people. They all have their own stories in the film. They all are in prison for different reasons, and justified often. And they have different approaches to the moral question of should you seek revenge on this guard, and do you have the right to kill? And they also demonstrate the diversity of portrayals of fear and this controlled anger that they must have because they haven't processed the trauma from the prison, but yet they want to move on from it. And there's also this great comic element to it, which is quite common in Bahini's films, that he's really quite funny. It is a philosophically rich film. It explores concepts such as what role do we have in individual actions? Is revenge right? What is our role about justifying authoritarian states that does evil? All these concepts are explored within this narrative in a really accessible and interesting manner. Now, there's been a lot of praise since he won the Palme d'Or because people are discovering his films for the first time. And actually, if you've seen a lot of his films, you'll know this isn't anything remarkable in comparison with them, although it is a great film. I would say it's probably mid to upper tier of his films. I didn't particularly like No Bears, but I really enjoyed Taxi Tehran, and this is somewhere in the middle. And of course, there are other Iranian films that deliver similar topics, such as The Seed of the Sacred Fig, as well as films like The Zone of Interest, which explores through other authoritarian regimes, such as Nazis. As I said, this is the French submission for the 98th Academy Award for Best International Feature Film, and this is because he has sought refuge in France, making him eligible for the award. Surprisingly, France is not the most successful country in terms of number of Oscar wins. They have had 12 wins compared to Italy's 14, which makes them the second most successful country. However, they have significantly more nominations, with an additional 30 nominations, plus 5 films making the shortlist. This makes France the most successful country overall and consistency at the Oscars. However, their last win was in 1992 for Indochine, which has made it such a long time for France to actually win the award. In the last decade, they have been very consistent of at least making the shortlist, with only 4 years where they failed to do so, making them the third most successful country in the last decade. So can It Was Just an Accident provide France's first Oscar win this century? I think it could potentially happen. For me, it's a 3-horse race at the moment. Sentimental Value for Norway, The Secret Agent for Brazil, and It Was Just an Accident for France. And I think the French entry success will depend on the politics of the time leading up to the awards. For me, the favourite will be Norway's Sentimental Value. However, it would not surprise me if It Was Just an Accident got over the line, and this might be Trump related or something happening in the Middle East that persuades voters to favour it over the others. And it will probably receive other Oscar nominations, in particular Best Director, and maybe even slip into Best Picture. Have you seen It Was Just an Accident? If you have, put in the comments below. What did you think? And do you like this sort of filmmaking, of making stuff in authoritarian states against the law? And have you seen any more of his films? If you like this review, please do subscribe to Global Film Pool for more reviews and news for the Best International Feature Film category. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.